Hi everyone, I hope you are doing fantastic. This is a part 2 to my 100 heads challenge video. In that video I showed you my process and just chatted a little bit about the challenge. In this video I'm going to show you my finished spreads and talk a little bit more in depth about the challenge and specific sketches. Let's just get right into it. Also, this is my first real-time voiceover while the video is recording, and I'm so nervous. So yeah, thoughts and prayers for me. Okay, so day one. What can I say about day one? Other than that, I was terrified. I immediately was like, what did I get myself into? And pretty much from the very first sketch, I was like ready to quit. Not to any fault of the sketch. She is fine. I just felt like very overwhelmed. And you know, I had 99 heads ahead of me, so I think that that's a normal reaction to have. By the way, if you aren't familiar with the 100 heads challenge, I feel like I should have started off by talking about that. It is a challenge by Ahmed Al-Douri. He's a concept artist and his stuff is amazing. But he created this challenge. The idea is that you do 100 heads. Most people draw, but I've seen people like paint. So pretty much like any medium that you want. It's supposed to help you get better at like facial anatomy and draw different types of faces. So I think a lot of artists, including me, suffer from, I think it's called like same face syndrome or something, where you just keep drawing the same faces all the time. Even if you're not trying to draw the same face, it's just kind of like you know how to do one type of face. So I think this helps you grow your repertoire a little bit, as well as just kind of get facial anatomy into your muscle memory and get comfortable with drawing faces. So whatever stage you're at, I think that it's a really good challenge to embark on, and I would like to do it again already. There is an official Pinterest board, by the way, created by Ahmed. I did not know about it until day 2, so these first 9 heads that you're seeing did not come from that board. I did decide to do the entire challenge in colored pencil because I did not want to allow myself to erase. I knew that if I could erase, I could spend all day on a face, and I just really wanted to move forward and push forward. I think the challenge is supposed to be done in 10 days. I don't think it's absolutely necessary, of course. I think I did mine in 7-ish days. I am trying to move away from perfection and fear of doing art. So I thought that that would help me a lot. However, that being said, day 1, I was really nervous. I mainly did the challenge to have like a video to post, but it was also a really good excuse to do the challenge because I felt motivated. I will say by the 9th head on the first day, I was feeling really good. This head motivated me to push forward. Also, 8 was pretty good, but like in this area, pretty much I was already starting to feel like my hand was really warming up. So the board has a lot of good male faces. If you're like me, you avoid more masculine face types very often. For that reason, I would really suggest using a Pinterest board and not choosing the heads yourself. Like when I didn't know about the board and I was choosing the first set of heads, I was, I think, on accident exercising a little bit of bias, even though I was trying to be really conscious of that. But the board was just really pushing me in a way that I don't think I would have done for myself. So, for example, I really love this masculine head, how that turned out, and I normally would not have attempted something like this, I don't think. So I'm really glad that the board was pushing me in that way, as well as with like some fantasy type characters. There are several more like caricature types. There's some clay sculptures and some marble busts, so that was really fun to draw from. And again, like I would not have chosen to draw something like this myself. I would not chosen a reference like this, and I'm so glad that the board included things like this because I was having so much fun drawing these things. These like more detailed and like more intricate, more interesting faces. Not to say that obviously like my tried and true feminine faces aren't, you know, obviously like that's my choice to draw, so obviously I love those. Another example is 14. She is a lovely older woman, and I just really enjoyed drawing this face, and I did not think that I would. If you're doing this challenge and you're trying to do it in a timely manner, I would definitely suggest picking like the most prominent details on the face and only sketching those. So like here I have her eye wrinkles, I have her mouth wrinkles and her eye bags, forehead lines, and that right there is already enough to tell you that this face is an older face. When you put too much detail in, especially like rough sketches like this, it can make it look way too busy and you kind of lose the portrait a little bit, in my opinion anyway. Like, I haven't been able to successfully do anything like that. I think when you're doing like realism, like super realistic drawings, definitely like I think every intricate little detail is important, but for me and like my drawing style, I really try to stick to the main parts of the image that tell the story. Yeah, if you struggle with something like that, just something to remember, maybe a little tip. It also helped me do the portraits relatively quickly, especially on like the more detailed faces. Another thing I would say is like movement is really important. So if you're going to choose just like minimal detail to get your point across, definitely pay attention to like the movement of the face. So here, this is like these are shadows that are in her like orbital bone, like right beside the bridge of her nose. The area there is kind of shaped like this. I don't know how to explain it. So create motion with your strokes, and that also will help push your detail a little bit. You'll see, for example, number 12 looks really dark because I was struggling a little bit with her. Because I was using colored pencil and I could not erase, what I would do to try to like save the portrait was to kind of thicken some of the lines, or just like play into the shapes a little bit more, deepen the shapes, maybe color in some spots, shade in some spots, in an attempt to kind of hide some of my mistakes. Just kind of another hack as well. Yes, I loved this younger face here, and then randomly Frankenstein's monster. That was really fun. And then I started to kind of doodle on my pages because my camera kept overheating. I didn't want to leave you guys out, so I would just doodle while I waited on it to cool down. By now you've noticed that I'm changing my colored pencil color every page, and that's just because I didn't want to use up any one color more than another. It was also fun because I was kind of learning what colors I was really enjoying. Yeah, day 2, part 2, so I continued sketching on the same day. Just a little tip, if you're going to do this, maybe budget your time better than I did. Like you'll see on the last day, I had to do 25 sketches on my last day. That's because I failed to evenly space the heads across all the days, so. Okay, so, oh no, the sun is gonna start coming in right here. Ah, okay, I'll block it for you. Number 21 is another example of like a head that I did not think I would enjoy drawing, and then as I got into it, I was like pleasantly surprised. And I think what's happening here is that I am like overthinking the more feminine faces because it's just what I enjoy drawing. Funnily enough, how that works out, you think it'd be the other way around. But I don't ever like draw more masculine faces, and so I think that it feels like there's less stakes for me on like a personal level because I want to capture like the beauty of the feminine faces so much. And then this sounds terrible, but it's just like a personal artistic preference, so don't take that any sort of way. Yeah, I really enjoyed this. Just kind of thinking about the face in shapes rather than in lines. 30, I really enjoyed drawing this face. Again, like an older, more detailed face. Something that I didn't expect myself to enjoy very much. Guys, we actually skipped over day 3. Oh my gosh, I had to go back and record it. But again, kind of like an iffy day for me. Things felt kind of funny in my hand. I was on the fence still about continuing a little bit. I went back and forth, honestly, a lot. If you watch my part 1, you'll kind of see why. But 32 was difficult. She's like this kind of circusy type vibe. Had some really interesting makeup. Just kind of difficult to capture, I think. I loved 33. 35 was kind of cool. Yeah, again, I think 40 was kind of like the sketch that pushed me to go forward, but then I hit part 2, and this was, I think by the end of here, I was just kind of like, okay, I want to quit for today. But again, I love 41, and 42 is fun. Day 4, okay, I have fixed the sun. Again, a really fun colored pencil color. I really enjoyed this, especially with like the creamy paper. I think the contrast is quite nice. You'll start to see that I have these groups of really detailed heads because I think I accidentally was avoiding them. I want to talk a little bit about 49. So this head is a head that I started to draw and it nearly made me give up again. The reason being is that as I was sketching, it was just not looking great to me. It didn't feel good like in my hands and I wasn't doing the reference justice in my opinion. However, I really just stuck it out. Like I just kept rendering and kept rendering as much as I could. Not that he's like highly rendered or anything, especially like compared to the other heads, but I just kept adding details and kept darkening areas and yeah, I think that it came together actually quite nicely and it's one of my favorite heads on this page. So let that be a lesson to you, especially if you come across a head that you just think is not working out. Just keep doing it a little bit more. Give it a little bit more time. Don't give up, because I almost did. And if I did, I wouldn't have my favorite head on this page. Number 51 is like a close second. Yeah, another example of he was not like looking great in the beginning. He wasn't even looking great during the middle. And then all of a sudden he started to come together as I added more detail. This is the only head that I gave up on, okay? It is this, I'll insert a photo if I remember, but it is a marble bust and it just has a really interesting perspective that I'm just not used to drawing. Yeah, I tried 3 separate times and then finally I just like, huh? Because it just, it was really throwing me for a loop. Not working out for me. I kind of wish I would have stuck through like I said I did with this guy with my first attempt. I also love 52 by the way, I didn't mention her, but okay, day 5. Wow, I love this spread a lot. I love the colors. She was kind of difficult. Her lips were pursed, like duck lips, so that was hard to capture. I still like how she turned out though. And then I love 58. I just think that she's so dynamic looking. Funnily enough, 59 is Gandalf, and I had never seen Lord of the Rings. It was just by chance that my partner was like, hey, do you want to watch all of the Lord of the Rings? And I was like, I guess, you know, it's probably about time because I haven't never seen that. So we watched the entire Lord of the Rings series in 1 week and it was so good. Oh my gosh, I'm like fiending to do some Lord of the Rings fan art now. But yeah, I sketched this before I had seen any of the movies. So of course I knew who Gandalf was, but I didn't know that this sketch was so special. And then 60, another surprising favorite of mine. I would never look at this reference and think like, yeah, I would love a drawing of that reference. And then yeah, 61 was a rough clay sculpture. I'm not a clay sculpture person, but it was like you could see the finger pinches, so it was like super rough and the image was really dark, which was cool because I could see like the main shadows, but it was difficult to draw. I couldn't see a lot of the details, so I just put like a little question mark. So I guess kind of another face that I didn't really finish exactly, but like the marble bust, I just really wanted to push forward because I kind of felt myself getting a little bit angry and I just don't want to force myself to do anything that's gonna like make me have a burnout, because I am terrified to have art burnout anymore. Something that I'm like working towards so hard to not get. So if I can avoid that at all costs and feeling angry by art, I'm just gonna move on. But obviously like within good reason. So you know, finding that nice balance of pushing myself and then also not to the point where I am just done. Here's another day 5. I think, yeah, I did actually 3 spreads for day 5. So this one's actually part 2, so I'll skip ahead to that one. Again, these fun clusters of super detailed heads, and oh my gosh, I think I love every single one of these heads. I can't talk enough about how this challenge like pushed me and made me realize that I enjoy so much these like fantastical caricature like heads. I love him. This is a clay sculpture, so he doesn't have eyes, same with this one. And I think you can see like by now my strokes are becoming way more confident than they were in the beginning. Yeah, I think you can definitely tell that I kind of stopped caring where my strokes are going and also just trusting that I am doing it in a way that feels good to my hand. Day 5, part 3. By this page, I do remember that I was getting a little bit tired. I mean, I had done quite a few heads by this point. By the end of each day, I feel like I did a sketch that like really made me push forward. So I think 72 and 70 are probably my favorite. I love 69 as well. She is an example of me trying to kind of like cover up some mistakes by darkening, you know, an area. I really wanted to save her, and I think that she turned out really nice. Day 6 was the last day, so I took 7 days, but I know that somewhere I took a break in the middle and didn't do any sketches. So 81 was actually an image of a doll. I found her to be a little difficult, especially in comparison to all the heads we had been doing. Yeah, her facial anatomy was difficult for me to capture, and I felt a little funky about this one. 82 has yellow because I wanted to capture face paint from the reference. And yeah, I think again, like you can just really tell that my strokes are looking really confident. I kind of went back in after I finished sketching and would darken up some of the edges just because I kind of like that aesthetic. Starting at 90, I gave myself the treat of picking my last 10 heads. So 90 might be one of my favorite heads from the challenge because this is just like right up my alley, like this type of head. I just love this aesthetic so much. So loved 90. I loved 89. That was really fun to do. Again, probably not a reference I would choose for myself, and same thing with like 83. So I still tried to push myself with the heads. I didn't choose heads that I necessarily like wanted to do, but I did learn that I liked drawing more masculine heads. I learned that I liked drawing older faces, so yeah, I was happy to do these. I love 92 just because like that hairstyle is so good. I wish I could pull something like that off. And I love 96. What a diva. Who is she? Really fun to do. She has this like gorgeous hairstyle. Again, wish I could pull that off. Are you kidding me? Love 99. And then 100 I did a little bit bigger. Yes, she's probably one of my favorites as well, which is just so cool to end on such a nice note. At this point, I felt like I had nothing to lose because I was going through with the video no matter what things looked like, and I had realized so many things with this challenge that I talked about in part 1 that I just didn't care anymore, and I think that that really shows like in the art itself. Like my strokes became so much more free. I kind of stopped caring if I made mistakes and just went with it. I think that 100 is kind of a culmination of everything I had learned. Love turtlenecks, so that's a big reason why I chose this one. I really recommend this challenge. I really recommend this challenge to anyone at any level with any medium that you want. Great way to fill your sketchbook as well. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Go check out part 1 if you haven't. Thank you guys so much for watching. That concludes my 100 heads, and I am so excited for the next one. Bye!